Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the AI School of Possibilities. I'm here again with Mary as we tackle another week in the world of AI. Good afternoon, Mary. How are you?
I'm very well, Paul. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us for our weekly chat again.
Let's start off with something we discussed on Monday with our AI weekly chat, and that is that content doesn't have to feel like content creation. So the example in the meeting was two virtual assistants. They have a company. So we suggested, why don't you create content by having a 10-minute chat? You discuss useful tips, customer problems you've solved, maybe a common mistake or something interesting you discovered. And it can be a natural conversation. And afterwards, you could edit in this script and you could also run it through Opus Clip to create 2, 3, or 4 bits of social media content that you can then put out on Facebook or TikTok, depending on where you are targeting your audience. But the main point being that just one genuine conversation can become a week's social content without sitting down to create content. Mary, talking about talking, you wanted to share something about GPT Live with us.
Yes, and to even begin with, before I go on to that, with the points you've just made in terms of content, I was having a similar conversation with a friend of mine who has been talking about starting her own YouTube thing for the longest time. And one of the setbacks for her is she just feels that she comes across too stiff when she tries to make her points. And one of the things that she's done to help her is to use GPT voice, because you can have conversations with GPT voice and just prep it in terms of the topic you want to talk about, and then just put it out of earshot or out of eyesight. And then you have this conversation with ChatGPT where it asks you questions, and then you literally just talk about, answer the questions that it's asking, or giving your own opinion about the things that it points out. And then you can take that and use that in exactly the way that you've just said, like in Opus Clip, or even on any video editing software, cut out the bits with the ChatGPT, put some text messages with it. And that's one of the things that she's taken on board. And she's quite excited to try that, to try and see how she can ramp things up instead of having to wait until she feels she's super confident and not so stiff in front of the camera. So that's one thing to do. So speaking of ChatGPT as well, OpenAI is going to now put a sync mark on generated voices, because they're getting so lifelike that people can no longer tell the differences. So they're going to include a synth ID watermarking on OpenAI voice generated content. So I think that's interesting. And I'm also curious to see how people like 11 Labs will follow up with this, because they're like the big AI voice generated service provider at the moment. So I'm interested to see how they handle this.
Yeah, I agree with you. I remember when we spoke to Daniel from Wickham, they have that AI voice assistant that you can get with their telecommunications software. And he was saying that he did some tests and people thought his AI assistant was more human than the humans on there. So AI is coming along rapidly in these areas. Now for something fun. Years ago, I wanted to create this tool and I didn't have the know and the wherewithal, but I noticed a Canva chat the other day on their education channel and they were talking about updates to Canva Code. So I'm not going to make this long. I'm just going to jump right in because the moment I saw one of the templates they had, which was the spinny wheel, and I was like, oh, you must be able to use this for different things. And let me share. So here's the spinny thing. I just literally typed in there, create a coaching spinning wheel. It folded in for me. So I do that, and it goes, how do you celebrate small wins? And you know what I love about it? Is you can create something like this and you can publish it to a site, you can access it, you can create different versions of this. You can have your favorite cheat meal or your healthy diet, and you can create different spinny wheels, and you can then access these, and it gamifies. It's something people can use on a daily basis to help them stay focused. And yeah, I just think it's awesome. What do
I
you
think
think,
it's
Mary?
very
Did you
awesome.
like that?
I like it a lot because I'm thinking of all sorts of ideas of things that you can use it for, because it's something that you can create just a web page on and then install that on your mobile as just a one page app. And I can just think of the cute games that you can play with your kids. They will do a little spin the wheel thing if it's the toys or the foods that they'd like for dinner. And it's something that like, okay, when it's time to do that, let's just spin the wheel and see what's going to happen. All sorts of things that you can do with it, and you can put it on your website. So yeah, I always like stuff that you can use for fun and you could possibly use for business as well.
Exactly. Mary, you had something about ChatGPT signing you wanted to share.
Oh yes, that's just news that's coming in from the interwebs, as they say. I think 2 years ago, there was a lot of hoo-ha about using the ChatGPT signing, and it was supposed to be something that was coming out then. And since then, they've been very quiet on that front. So you know how you go into your to other websites and you can log in with Google, you can use Google to sign in. We're getting to the point where we'll be able to use our ChatGPT accounts to sign in to other accounts. That way, you already have your chat GPT going around with you. So it's not just like signing in with Google and then that's the end of it. It's using it as a way of securely signing in. But with ChatGPT, you'll sign in and you will have ChatGPT available to you on that application. And who knows what other sort of things they're going to nail onto that as well. It might just be that ChatGPT will be able to see what your preferences are. Is that good? Is that bad?
Yes, it's not like Gmail doesn't use AI when you sign in everywhere with. Yeah.
Mm,
Okay. Talking about AI tools. So, my favorite tool to experiment with at the moment is Hermes.
memes.
And yeah, I feel like I'm no longer operating individual AI tools. You mentioned Buzz to me. There's always all these things coming out. And I was curious. I had a look at it. And I spent quite a lot of time setting it up with the help of Hermes on my Mac Mini and 2 laptops. But I don't know. I don't like the Buzz interface, quite honestly. And I've said to Hermes, do you think we could run it from inside my Hermes desktop app? And it's like, yeah, let's do this. And now from inside Hermes, I can run instructions like I want a blog post on this. Then Hermes Prime will give instructions to Hermes 2 and 3. And Hermes 2 might go off and do research, write the blogs. And then Hermes 3 will check the blog post for facts and then pass it back to Hermes Prime for the final checks and balances, etc. So I think that's pretty cool.
I think that's really cool as well. I was watching something the other day where they're talking. It's almost similar to there's a new name. It escapes my mind right now, but the whole idea of not just working with agents, but working with agents in that flow where you have a supervisor, and you have workers, and you have someone, the supervisor, who checks their work before everything is merged into one place. And it's replicating what happens in real life when projects are being done. Nothing is really done in a symmetric way. You just have people, also different people doing different parts, and then you all converge onto one outcome at the end of the day. So that's what being replicated and more agents are being pulled into our spaces.
Yes, I think, I used to be software for a long time. There's an app, there's another app, and so on. Now I'm more and more, I'm finding myself asking this question all the time now. I see something and I go to Hermes and say, I've just downloaded this. Can you have a look? How can we integrate this? Whether it's a hub repo or it's one of those, give us your email address and then we'll send you this and you can do X, Y, and Z with it. I'll put it into Hermes and say, because Hermes has all these skills, and I can say to it, can you use this? Is any of this usable? So it's actually a working partner for me, and it helps me maintain my bandwidth across the various businesses
Mhm.
I'm running. It's not possible to go in detail with every repo I see, with every newsletter, etc. But with using Hermes, it is not just software anymore. It becomes software that uses other software. So it's really like a working partner. And that brings me to the next thing we chatted about. And the question is your website ready for AI customers? And I know that you have something interesting you're going to share with us on that. But I just wanted to point out that you can actually ask ChatGPT to audit a publicly accessible website for AI discoverability and readiness to see how clearly an AI can identify what the business does, its products, customers, expertise, etc. And OpenAI specifically says public websites can appear in ChatGPT search and recommends ensuring that OAI search bot is not blocked. So here's a useful prompt you can use. Review my website. You insert your URL as though you're an AI assistant trying to recommend my business to the right person. Explain what you think the business does, who it serves, what products or services it offers, and what makes it different. Then identify anything that is unclear, difficult for AI crawlers to access, or poorly structured. Check the site's content hierarchy, product service descriptions, FAQs, structured information, and robots.txt where accessible. Give me the 10 highest priority changes that would make the website easier for ChatGPT and other AI systems to understand, cite, and recommend. So, not another AI tool, but using AI to check your site readiness, which brings me to why it matters. Over to you, Mary.
We will leave the prompt for you in the description so you can find it there. To your point, Paul, isn't it interesting that we spent 25 years plus building websites for humans? And now we're entering an era where we also have to build them for AIs and other machines as well on behalf of humans. It's starting to get to the point where there's more machinery online than humans. One of the updates from Cloudflare says automated agents and bots now generate more than half of the web's requests on agentic internet. So that's putting it roughly at 57%. And it's explicitly building infrastructure for agentic internet. So that just tells you how much they're putting their expectations on the agents running things on the interwebs more and more as we progress with this AI age.
Mary, Shopify reports that in quarter one of 2026, AI referral sessions actually grew more than 8 times year on year. That's 8 times. AI referred orders grew nearly 13 times. AI referred visitors converted almost 50% better than organic search visitors. Average order values were 14% higher. And even more interesting, is Shopify's long tail argument. AI can match highly specific, obscure products to highly specific customer requirements instead of merely rewarding popularity. Now, I think there's something there. I think that's enormous for small businesses. Search engines favor visibility. AI potentially favors relevance. So if you make sure your website is AI ready and you're a small business, this could be enormous for you. Before you get on to Claude, Mary, I just wanted to also highlight that ChatGPT 5.6 Luna is becoming the new default for free and go users, and it's replacing GPT 5.5. There are limits in terms of image creation, etc., but for text, there's no limits. And what I think that also means is OpenAI wants people to stay on the platform. So when they start searching for products, they direct it. Instead of people going inside Google Gemini or Google Search and searching for things, because we also know Google Chrome and Search now has their AI mode in there, and we've discussed the fact that we both use it quite a bit. So I think there's something to do with that that it caused OpenAI to make GPT 5.6 completely free for text for free and go users. Anyway, you wanted to tell us more about Claude Design.
Indeed. We've been on about ChatGPT since we started, so only fair that we talk about Claude a little bit. And this week, they upgraded their Claude Design, and they have introduced a whole lot more templates to choose from. They used to have about 5, 6 templates before. Now you have more than double that now. And there's all sorts of things that you can make with them. I think one of the most interesting things is the animations, the animations that look like the very popular hyperframes animations. You can now create them in Claude. It is a little long-winded because you have to upload your voiceover with timestamps and then do a video that will match it. But the fact that they have started making that more accessible is quite interesting. I've played around with it some, and it's quite interesting what it can produce now. I was able to create a full website that had moving frames and everything. So that can easily be exported onto other applications and then tweaked and to make even better. So I like the progress that they're making. And I think they've made it cheaper as well, because it used to be that you would start with Claude Design and quickly run out of your token allocation for the hour or the day. But I actually went through 3 different experiments and my tokens did not expire. So it's probably cheaper now as well too. What do you think about that? I know you are more in the Hermes world than in Claude Design or Claude Code, but what do you think about that, Paul?
I think it's cool. I just still think you have to pay for it, whereas in Hermes, I can do it for free. And I can go into Hermes, like I did the other day when we were watching that video on the hyperframes. And while it's doing that, I'm telling Hermes, can you do this? And then I went into ChatGPT and I said, can you create, it has access to blog posts, etc., that I've written. So I said, can you access these 5 blog posts and write a script for 30-second videos that I can create hyperframes from? I put those into Hermes and it created 5 hyperframe videos, 30 seconds long each, at no cost, with voice over included. And I can take those into Canva, add some content, videos or images, etc. But hey, if you want to play around with Claude, play around with Claude.
Very interesting. You don't know. By next week, Claude Design might also catch up with Hermes, eh?
Anyway, talking about catching up, I think the next app has arrived, but I think we both have a verdict on it. What are your thoughts, Mary?
Somewhat underwhelmed. We're talking about the MetaMuse code that just come out and it's making quite a splash at the moment, correct?
Yes. So what are your
It's not free to begin with. And I think with all of the Chinese open source models that are available, and not just Chinese, with all of the open source models available at the moment, it is not really making me feel motivated to go and delve too deep into the Meta Muse. Meta has been underwhelming for a while, apart from the initial Llama models that came out that got everyone excited and then they've gone quiet. They seem to be ramping up again, especially after the revamping of their AI team. So I wouldn't say that I'm excited. I'm underwhelmed, but I will definitely give it a chance just to see what it's capable of. But underwhelmed is still the word I go with.
Yeah, I had a look at it. What did I do? Can you guess? I went into Hermes and,
Hermes.
and I said, how would we access this inside Hermes? And it said, I can use it, I can run it through OpenRouter. It gave me a terminal code to use to set it up. And I can, but the API costs, why would I pay that when I can get DeepSeek for so much less? It's silly. Anyway, not for me, not for now, but I'm sure there are people out there that want to use it. Now, this is the section where we ask more difficult questions. You and I have been chatting about OpenAI breaching Hugging Face during an evaluation because the containment environment failed. Importantly, safeguards had deliberately been reduced for the cyber test. So obviously, as we said, this can't be framed as ChatGPT went rogue. And we know that a few other AIs have also breached their containment environment. And that's all good and well. Nothing bad's happened. But then you read about this research from Stanford ARC researchers using the Evo genome models to generate 16 viable bacteriophages. And this news came out in September 2025. But if you link the two, it does raise some questions, doesn't it?
It does indeed. But what happens when we combine increasingly autonomous agents, imperfect containment, cyber capability, and AI systems capable of designing biological systems?
Yes. Is the real challenge no longer AI intelligence, but maintaining control as capabilities converge?
Very good question.
Now, let's end on a few lighter things. I think we both like ChatGPT sites, and we were chatting about the fact that people are talking about it, but I don't think everybody realizes yet or has got their head around the potential for it. And I know we're going to talk about it again in the future, but there are actually some things people can play around with. So, one of the things that I think people can use it for, talking about sales, we've been talking about Shopify, etc. So, why not create interactive lead magnets? Do you have a program that you want to sell? Create a lead magnet and you're using the AI for it. Surely it's going to end up and it's searchable.
Exactly.
And then the other thing that is anything come up for you that you could use this for, Mary?
Oh, yes. The event micro, you can create agendas, speakers, speaker notes, resources for the events, registration links. There's a whole host of things surrounding an event that can literally live on the ChatGPT site. And then you can update it in real time. You can add breaking news, all sorts of things that you can do with it. I think it's very useful for that.
I think not everything needs a website. Some things just need a space on the web. I think if we can get our minds around that mindset shift, will just help more people be creative and step outside their comfort zone. I know you wanted to share a little tool with us.
Yes, I think it's so interesting if we touch on cute tools that we find or interesting tools that we find during the week that are in some way connected to AI. And one of the ones that I saw was showcased on TechCrunch, and it's called Wrinkles. I'll leave the link in the description. And what Wrinkles does, it acts as a virtual tour guide. I remember taking tours in buses or following a group tour and thinking it would be really nice if I could just do this by myself and have someone speaking in my ears. And then I don't have to follow this big group of people, or I don't have to follow a set schedule because I'm with the tour guides. I can, how many times you go to a place and then the tour guide has started 30 minutes ago and so you've missed some bits. So what Wrinkle does is while you are walking, and it does this for different parts of different cities. So it tells you important and interesting information about the area that you're in. And at the moment, they have they're called Wrinkles, and they have about 1.3 million wrinkles across 177 countries. I think it's really interesting. I definitely will give it a try around Cape Town to see how much of Cape Town they have. And if I can, I probably will be a wrinkle supporter and contributor if that's possible. I don't know how possible that is, but I can't wait to try that because everywhere has very interesting information that we just walk by and we have no idea.
I think that's fantastic. I'm just wondering why haven't you told me about it for my Cape Town Travel and Tourism website and Facebook pages? Anyway, we'll forgive you for that, Mary, but I think that's something I'm going to check out myself. Okay, we are coming close to the last story. Something I just found very interesting. I've been doing a little Gmail experiment. Just wanted to benchmark how the different big boys do when they have to search my emails. And so I've been testing Chat, GPT, Claude, and Gemini. Now, you would think that Gemini would win this test because I'm a paid customer and they live inside my inbox, but oh boy, do they suck at finding emails. Wow. Claude is not too bad, but ChatGPT beats them both. ChatGPT,
Mm.
I was looking for something and it found two emails from 2014 that was exactly what I was looking for, saving me hours of time finding this information. Because I think whenever you're dealing with life at a fast pace, to be able to go, okay, I need this email. Can you go and check for me if it's there? Can save you bandwidth and capacity. The other interesting thing that's happened is now we have a space on TikTok and we'll be uploading a lot more shorts from Opus Clip on there, both from our AI weekly chat and from this chat that lives on YouTube. So, unless you have anything else, Mary, I think that's a thank you very much for watching, and we hope to see you next time.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much for being here and cannot wait to catch up again next week.
Ciao.